for those of you who don't know the story, Jody, would you like to kind of do a brief breakdown of what exactly was what happened?
All right. When I was in 5th grade, my mother enrolled us in karate, and we took karate lessons from a man named Jeff Doucette, who was a pedophile, and he groomed my family. He groomed me. He tested my boundaries. Obviously, I passed the test, so he started abusing me for about a year. He started it was like April of '83. We were in a karate tournament in Houston, and he was like, "Oh, come here. I'm gonna suck your tonight." And he had been touching me, but this time I was like, why the hell would you want to do that? And I'm gonna tell you something right now, because it's been very popular on the internet lately, but that Hak 2 is not good when all the other kids fall asleep and your karate teacher's the one doing it.
Oh, I like this. We're gonna go dark.
I tried so hard to keep a straight face through that.
I was holding in the jokes. I was like, Eli, behave. I was like, we don't have to behave.
Not around me.
Shit. I just like that's what it's like. Karate term. He's like, bro, I'm gonna turn you Super Saiyan. Huk 2. You're like, shit.
Well, this is another one. So then he did that for about a month. He performed oral sex on me for about a month.
They're uncomfortable. You set the stage. I was like, yay, he's
Eli's
extra
like
gangster now.
All right, so then, like a month later, that's when he actually started having with me. And the first thing he used, and I noticed this when I went to the bathroom a little while ago, for lube was soft soap. And that's what y'all have in there.
We're just giving you PTSD flashbacks on accident?
Yep.
Oh, God damn it.
So then, so he did that pretty much. He'd perform oral something, and then he'd have, and that went on until he kidnapped me. And then he was eventually caught, for those who don't know. And I was brought back from California on March 1st. Actually, I flew into New Orleans. And 2 weeks later, on March 16th, they were bringing Jeff back from California, and someone at the news station, my dad used to work for that news station. My dad
really
drank beer every day about a half a mile from that news station. He was on our bowling team. And the program director, his name was Bob Shadell, he goes, "Hey, Gary, when they bring your boy back?" And my dad was like, "Well, ain't gonna fucking tell me." And he goes, I think he's back already. And Bob's like, "No, he's not back. I think he's coming tonight." So he goes over to the old payphone booth like Superman gets into. And he called up the news station and said, "No, he's going to be coming in at 9:08, I think, tonight." And so my dad, with that knowledge, I think he had taken the gun the night before, because he came over to watch the LSU basketball game. LSU was playing Dayton in the NCAA tournament. Plus, he also came over to watch the Hill Street Blues. When me and Jeff were in California, we watched him film this one segment of Hill Street Blues, and it aired the night before the shooting. And so
this is while you were kidnapped in California.
Well, yeah, when I was kidnapped, we were watching, me and Jeff watched them film this segment for Hill Street Blues. And so that would have been between February 19th and February 29th. So it would probably been like the 21st, and it didn't air till the 15th. And so we watched that Hill Street Blues that night, the night before the shooting. And then so when they brought him back, my father, with the knowledge that Jeff was going to be at the airport at this particular time, he had the gun in his boot. He called his best friend from the payphone, and they made a video that y'all were celebrating 40 years later on Father's Day. He shot him, killed him, and then he didn't go to jail. He got 5 years probation and 300 hours of more community service.
I love how you put more community service.
I know. Oh, this is going to be, I already like this. Everyone's like, we don't even have to do like a 10-second splash one, because this first 2 minutes have went harder than anyone. Everyone's like, holy shit, do I laugh? Okay, Cody looks awkward right now. Eli's laughing, but we can't trust his emotions.
Exactly. Eli's a sociopath, so we can't really,
Check Jody.
It did. I mean, he did take me to Disneyland while I was kidnapped. So I mean, there was that.
Really?
Yeah, which was interesting when you kind of open up talking about how like that was the I would say the least bad part of the experience was all that.
Well,
not because Disneyland's so cool, but because
well, I knew we were going to tell me, "Go down to the bathroom real quick. I'll be in there in a minute." But no, he was kind of stressed out. So there was like 1 or 2 nights where he kind of did what he usually did. But for the most part, that 10 days I was gone, it really wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It was actually good.
So his mind was just everywhere else.
Yeah, he had other things to think about, like getting money.
What was the psychology on your point in that? Were you just like, hey, you're young, you're 11 at the time?
Yeah, I was 11 when he kidnapped me, but you got to realize I had been victimized for a year. So
Well,
I've
that's
been
why you're not getting
manipulated, controlled.
Exactly. That's why I want the audience to know. We talked about it yesterday. It's the idea of when you're young and depending on what your parents tell you and all these different things is how you get like you're just not in the know. Like period.
And you don't feel like you have any sort of control.
Yeah, you have an adult and you're going to trust them and you're going to be like, oh, okay, well, they said it's okay. And I've never heard this is not okay. So I'll just assume this is fine. And you're not going to know why. And that's how kind of the control starts and the grooming and everything. And as you said, it was the no-go or you passed the test. Technically, you failed.
Like the first time I recognized the fact that he was testing my boundaries, and this is very common with files, is he let me drive. So now I'm sitting in his lap and he's putting his hands in my, private area, but it's only briefly. It's there and gone. And, but I look back thinking about it and it started probably, oh, we need to stretch here. Let's do a split. We got to make sure your thighs are in. So now he's introducing that being close to my private area. And so, I mean, unfortunately, files are good at what they do. That's why that's 110 kids before they finally get caught or something like that. Stat guy looked that up. But, unfortunately, that's the case.
But from you telling your story, you've helped so many people come out and actually impact. You've had a huge impact on their lives for them being able to, not repress that and actually get people caught.
Like watching your dad, of course you respect your father and leading into that. But after that act, at what age did it hit? You're like, holy shit, my dad is like a hero for his actions. And holy shit, like what he risked technically, but for what any dad would do.
Well, I was upset at my father at first. I didn't want him. Well, first off, before the shooting, no one knew I had been by a man. But it wasn't until Daddy shot Jeff that people found out what happened about me. So at first I was upset at what my dad did. And I was upset that Jeff had died because I was under coercive control. If you watch the video when I return, I don't hug my parents. My arms are in my windbreaker. I look like a motherfucker that had been abused for a year. And I acted appropriately, or how an abused child would look. So it probably wasn't until that summer we were walking down to the pool, and I just told my dad, I said, I just want you to know I understand why you did what you did, and I'm not mad at you anymore. And he was like, okay, and then we just kind of got back to normal.
Because that's an element of things that I guess I didn't really consider, because everybody sees the video. They everybody, good guy, do good thing. And that's as surface level as most people get. When I started reading your book, that was when I guess I knew, but I didn't consider that, this was not only a longtime friend of yours,
Right.
but also a friend of your dad's.
Yes.
Like your dad was shooting his friend.
Yeah.
And that's a deeper element to it that was it the right thing to do? I mean, who might argue, but it's a deeper thing that most people don't consider.
Yeah, they just see the video and go, Father of the Year for 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but it goes a little deeper, I think.
It is. It's a very because how long were they friends at that point? Your dad.
All right, so we started taking karate, and Jeff was being invited over to the house for our family gatherings. He spent the night a few times, and there was one night when he stayed the night over, and we brought him back to the karate studio because that's where he stayed most of the time. He lived there, and my dad let him out, and we're driving down the road, not far from where Sissy fought Stormy, and he starts crying. And I'm like, Daddy, what? And he's like, he's so pitiful. And so my dad turned the car around, went back, got him, brought him home, let him shower, gave him clean clothes, and took him to my grandparents' house where we ate Sunday dinner every Sunday. And my dad had felt bad, kind of like, okay, Jeff, you got to go. We're going to dinner. I mean, yeah, so he shot a man who was once his friend.
And then what was the point of his childhood? What was his hey, did you get more of a backstory on his childhood?
Yeah, he admitted, I think, on the flight home to the police officers that when he was younger, he was trafficked by his mom. So, and I do believe that. I believe that to be the case. So I'll share this with y'all. On the 40th anniversary of his death, which was March 17th, 1984, I was in Austin seeing Jim Norton at the Comedy Mothership, and that was on the anniversary of the shooting. So I drove back home from Austin. I had to go through Vinton, Louisiana. It's the first or one of the first towns you come to when you cross over the state line. And I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go to the cemetery where he's buried. And so it was
For the first time?
For the first time. There was no spiritual cleansing. It was none of that bullshit. Part of it had to do with I have an idea for the documentary if we get one made. So I wanted to kind of like check it out. I didn't go look for his grave. And the reason why I didn't is because there was somebody visiting a grave and I didn't want it to be his and be like, oh, I guess why he's here.
Oh, God.
But I did have a little victim advocate in me that did have a little sympathy for like 7, 8, 9-year-old Jeff who was trafficked. You know, it doesn't excuse his behavior or what he did to me and other kids, but there was that little bit of sympathy for the kid Jeff, not for the man Jeff.
You kind of went through Stockholm syndrome with what, or would you say
was more
Stockholm or just control?
Coercive control, that would be it, because he had control over me even when he wasn't around. Like if he wasn't around and a classmate called me, I'd go run in the back room and hide in case he came over and wanted to know who I was talking to. Who are you talking to? Why are you talking to that person? So, I mean, he still had a control over me even though he wasn't around.
And was it a fear-based control or was it?
I would say it was, definitely it was a fear-based because, he's a karate instructor. I mean, he'd pop us upside the head, he'd put us in power, pressure points. And so there was that.
If you think about it, a lot of his job was literally being in a position of power over you in a physical sense.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of good information like that in the book as far as not saying, if anyone ever touches you, tell me and I'll kill them. Well, guess what? They're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
Because people go, why didn't you tell? I said, I knew my dad would kill him. That's what happened. So there's a lot of good information in that. So definitely get it. If whether you're a victim or not, whether you're a parent or not, there's a lot of good information for pretty much anybody.
Yeah, and I like the way that you weave it in through the narrative too. Like it's not just all, here's the story of what happened and here's how you deal with it in the future. It's like it's woven in, like you're weaving in data, statistics, and also like things that like are actual helpful tips for parents and things, while you're also telling a story that we're all engrossed in. Because I mean, obviously everybody wants to know about it.
Right. Well, go to Amazon.com.
No, legitimately, like, hey, you plug your shit, because I actually, that's the first book I've sat down and demolished in one sitting in a long time.
You can go to Amazon. I also have it on Audible. A friend of mine, Toby Tomplay, he had a studio. He's done audiobooks before, and he had just had a 1-year-old baby. And he took my book home. He started reading it, and he the next day, he's like, I want to be the voice of your book. And so we took the time to actually, so you can go to Audible. You can get the paperback from Amazon, or you can get a digital version. You can get a Kindle. So, there's many versions available.
Yeah.
What do you see of, like, you grew up in the 70s, 80s, and then what was the difference now with you see parenting and how you would apply your information to parenting now? Because it is,
especially in the online space.
Dude, it's switched so dramatically. I mean, I grew up, like, Cody's more my age, Brandon's about a decade younger, and then you're a decade older. Or a little more. It is, because at that time it's like how you talk to your kid, what you would talk about, completely different than like what I talk to my kiddo about. And same for like John's probably heard, same for Ryden. They've heard everything just because our humor and our style. We're still parents and we're trying to do the best job possible. But then you have parents that are afraid to touch certain subjects altogether, and then that's where the kid's like, I don't know what
the self-imposed taboos.
And I think that's more detrimental to a child than fucking anything.
What I would do, and I'll say this, all right, my mindset has changed in 25 years. Was when I went to Victim Services Center, we're out there teaching the kids the safety rules. If anyone ever touches you, you say no, you go, you tell an adult that you trust. Why the fuck are we putting the emphasis on a 9-year-old to stop the abuse? Don't let your kids around these people.
Yeah.
Or not these people, because you don't know who these people are. Anyone. Don't let your kids out your sight. And I'm not saying be paranoid, but another thing, I would not teach that as well. I would still also teach it, but I would use it as a teachable moment. Just read them a book about touching safety. Then you read them about the little engine that could. You just work it in. And there's it's in the book. There's a place called There's No Place Like Home. You can Google it. And it gives you like age appropriate knowledge that you can talk to your kids at what particular, like at 5 years old, they should know how to say penis and vagina. At 6 years old, according to Jeff, how to suck one. But
Christ.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I love the entire audience goes like this. He made the joke.
Just when I'm at ease. And it's right around the corner.
He's like, bam.
That's what it was like reading that book at like fucking 2 o'clock in the morning.
You got a strawberry over there?
I'll trade you.
I'll trade. Oh, bam! You get a blackberry.
I get to go too.
Oh, I got a strawberry.
Oh, you got one now. We're switching. Oh, We'll take it. If you want black, if you want strawberry, you tell me.
I was told go strawberry.
Straw or black?
Yeah, just when you're focused, you're listening, and all of a sudden, gotcha.
Right hook.
All right, serious question, real quick. How good was the wiener? No. Are there any warning signs? Sorry, he's fucking started it, dude.
You know what? I'm laughing at everything.
Are there any warning signs that you could give a young child to like look out for that?
Well, all right. So the one thing I'm going to tell you is I'm going to give the parent the one warning sign that I think is the most important warning sign. If someone wants to spend more time with your kid than you do, that's a warning sign. Another thing is to look at your children's behavior. Okay, if they have knowledge that they shouldn't have. For example, we got a call on a hotline. This girl, I want to say she was in second grade. I don't know. Do you remember the turtle girl? The turtle girl. She drew a turtle with an erect penis. Okay, a second grade little girl should not know what
you're
an
like,
erect penis
why
is.
is she doing that?
So the teacher's like,
Especially
what's this? And she goes, it's a. Yeah, she should not have that in her. You know what I'm saying?
That vernacular.
Turns
right
out
there.
her older brother, I think he was like 13. He had been abused, and then he started having with his sister. And so, yeah, I mean that's kind of shit we dealt with. But
it makes sense. It is those because the child, as you're saying, it's like the erection. Like an erection's not gonna know. Like when we were kids, like drawing stick figures, you'd be like, "But," like you'd be like, "Hey, it's a."
Or you're like, "Hey, look, I got a
little-"
stiffy." Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know what why.
At 7, you don't fucking know that.
Yeah.
You have no clue.
Fuck no. You're like, pee pee. That's about the knowledge. So that's actually a really good piece of information where it's like, hey, if they know to that detail and it's the little things, fucking start asking some questions.
On that, there was one line you put in the book that, like, again, it's like I'm fully invested in everything, and then I'm like, fuck. Like, you just take me completely off guard. It was like, Jeff was good, but he wasn't that good.
I'd sucking, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like, oh,
But I mean,
fucking Christ.
But I mean, he was telling me how hard would that be? Like,
Jeff, it's kind of toothy.
Are you doing a Yelp review
1 star
of the Karate Dojo?
That's it. Just going in there is Yelp reviews.
You ever know those podcasts that you're going to get canceled for, like, ahead of time? You know, while you're filming it, you're like, oh yeah, it's going to be this one for sure.
No, but all we're trying to do with this podcast is bring awareness to abuse and just trying to help other people.
well, and hopefully this model's like you don't have to be, scarred for life. I mean, and don't get me wrong, it helps that I never have to run a Jeff at the grocery store, or Jeff's, got another karate team he's bringing on a karate trip, knowing that he's probably abusing people. So that helps. But, it's something that you can't.
That's what you should take away.
Yeah, right there.
It helps that he doesn't exist anymore.
Well,
Do that with you will.
if he ever gets cancer.
No, but that was one of the more interesting stories you tell in the beginning too. Is when you went to some, I think it was like some wellness gym or something like that, and you ran into a guy who looked like
Just like
Jeff.
him.
No shit.
And so, I mean, me and my brother and my dad were like, huh. And so on the car ride home, I was like, oh my God, I thought it was Jeff. And Daddy goes, I didn't. I knew it wasn't him.
Oh, you told that exact story.
I knew it wasn't.